Hi guys, so we've now heard that the lockdown is going to be eased in stages, and we as beauticians and also hairdressers and barbers, I believe, are not going to be allowed to reopen until the 4th of July at the earliest. So anybody looking to get their legs waxed or nails done, they're either going to have to wait, which seems a bit mean when the weather's looking really nice, or we have to do it ourselves. So with this in mind, I've decided that I'm going to try my hand at a couple of videos so that you can try and achieve the same result that you would get in a salon. So basically I'm going to give you all my little tips and tricks, the painting, some of the cuticle tips that you can do without having to have all the tools, and a couple of filing tips as well. And right at the end, there's a really special tool that is going to make your life really easy, so stay tuned. Okay, so hopefully you can see this clearly enough. Right, so first things first is doing shaping. So this has two-side grit. This is much rougher and this is a bit smoother. So for a brand new one, I almost always just use the smooth side because it's rough enough. This really is only to take down length if they're, you know, really long, but most of the time I only ever use the smooth side. So you want to get your nails to whatever shape you need them. So these are more or less how I want them, although the thumbnail needs to come down a bit. So basically just do a few of these. The ideal way is to go from outer corner into the middle, and rather than seesawing, you can do a bit of seesawing just to take the length down, but once you get to the right length and you're just refining the shape, you want to just go in one direction because it basically is a bit kinder to your nails. Before we leave it there, whenever you file, you always get these little bits underneath. So you want to make sure you slide either a tool or another fingernail underneath and just very gently bring that up to get rid of them. I've been to several people before and had my nails done and they never get rid of those bits, and then the next time you wash your hands or something, it brings them all to the surface and just looks really messy. And for me, especially if your nails are a bit shorter, you can feel them against your skin. It just feels horrible. So I always make sure I slide my nail underneath until you're not getting any more of those little bits, and then that's done. And then finally you do something called beveling. Filing opens up the nail a bit, so beveling is then you're just going down again very lightly and you're just sealing off the nail again, so it's much less likely for layers of the nail to then peel. You know, you get a little bubble underneath sometimes and you want to peel it off. So this basically just helps to seal the nails back down and that smooths that bit over. So next is the cuticles. So what you can use is, this is just a moisturiser. You can use any hand moisturiser, body moisturiser, anything basically. It just needs a bit of moisture on it, basically just layer it up so it's kind of very well covered. Massage it in. If you're doing a proper session and you've got time and you've got the patience, then what I would do is just leave that on and then just soak them in some water for a little while, and that really makes it work better. But if you don't want to have to fiddle around with a bowl of water, then that's fine. This process works pretty well too. So you basically just need to moisturise them enough to soften the cuticles a bit. Then you can either use another nail. If your nails are quite strong, this is fine. If not, then you need to use an orange stick. An orange stick looks like this, aka hoof stick, whatever you want to call it. This is just a plain wooden one, and you just go around your nails like that, and you just push them back. So a lot of people skip this step out when they're just painting their nails. All they're doing is they're thinking about the paint and the colour. But if your cuticles are growing up and covering part of your nail, you're not going to get that really nice, smooth, even line at the base of your nail. It's not just about the tip, it's about the base here as well. And also, if it's nice and neat, you're much less likely to flood the cuticles when you come to painting. Flooding the cuticles is where you accidentally just go slightly too far, and the second it touches that skin, it literally kind of, the paint bleeds and it gets all stuck to the cuticles, and trying to clean it up is a pain. So, and it just looks really messy. Even I end up going too close sometimes when I'm not paying attention or if I'm rushing, and it takes me probably at least another 5 minutes then to have to clean up the mess. But with the cuticles nice and tidy, it's much less likely to happen. So that's that done. Normally you do the same thing on every other nail, so let's just pretend that I've done that and I'm coming back to the painting side of things. So one thing that you need to make sure that you do before you start painting is to squeak the nails. Basically, it means that you wipe off any excess oil, cream, any product, so that the nails are nice and dry. So you heard of the term squeaky clean, so you basically rub them until they squeak. So I will show you what I mean. Hopefully you can hear it. So this is just a bit of nail varnish remover. I'm just going over the nail. So that's nice and squeaky. There we go. So that means that there's not going to be any oil underneath it. If there's oil underneath it or cream, and then you go and paint over the top, your paint will peel off after a couple of days. It just won't last long at all. So that really, really helps to ensure that that won't happen. The base coat that I use is this one, which is an OPI Nail Envy. It's absolutely brilliant. This is the original one. They do different ones for brittle nails and peeling nails, but I just use this one. So this is now my base coat. So it gives people that little bit of extra strength. They're getting a bit more for their money, and I just find the results are great, and it dries really fast. So I use that as my base coat. So what I normally do is I dip it in and then I just wipe one side. So you're leaving the other side quite well lubricated, if you like. There's a lot of product on that side, so you just wipe one side and then pop the other side just a couple of mil away from your cuticle and just slide up. It's basically just sliding away from yourself. So you want to work slow. It's not really something you want to rush. And just 3 or 4 brush strokes and that's done. So we need to obviously wait for that to dry before we can do the second coat. So I will come back to you in a minute when that's dry, and then we'll go to the colour. Okay, so I've waited a few minutes and this is basically, it's touch dry now. As I said, it dries really quickly. Doesn't matter if it's still a tiny bit tacky, but normally by the time you've done all your nails, the first one is then dry and ready. The colour I'm going to use so that you can see it really clearly is this one. It is an Affair in Red Square. It's one of the all-time favourites from my clients. They love it in the summer, in the winter, autumn, it doesn't matter. It's a beautiful red with a sort of metallic finish to it, and it's very, very popular. So if your polishes have been sat there for a little while, you want to roll them. Shaking them does mix the colour together, but you can then create bubbles, tiny little bubbles, and then when you paint, you'll get the bubbles on your nail, which will then pop, and then you'll have dips, and that will not look good. So rolling it basically just helps to warm it up and mixes the nail varnish together without creating all those little air bubbles. So wipe off one side of the brush, just the one side, and down. And again, you start as close to the cuticle as you can, but make sure you don't touch it, and you just slide away. So you want to load your brush up quite well. If you don't have enough on it, basically you'll just end up scraping off the paint that's there and it will be really streaky. So I don't know if you can see that, that's pretty good. Then this is the main point that I do, which really helps to seal it. So a lot of people, again, don't do this, but right at the tip of your nail, where we did the beveling, you want to seal that off. What that does is it means that air can't get up into there, you're much less likely to catch it, which then it's less likely to chip. So I just go on the ends like this and just seal that end off, and it really does make a difference. And I know it may take a little bit longer, but it's so worth it because it just means that your nails will last that longer. You do exactly the same thing with your toes as well, if you're wanting the toes to last a good long time. And I've had some people that come back after 4 weeks with a pedicure, and the nails have basically grown out rather than chipped or anything. So that, to be honest, I could get away with just one coat. I would generally still do a second coat just to get the sort of proper depth of colour. So I would just repeat that again, but once all my other nails are done, this one will be dry enough to put a second coat on. And then finally, I use an OPI Rapid Dry top coat. Again, this one's slightly more expensive than a standard top coat, but it does dry that much quicker. If you are not as confident with painting your nails and you're still a bit slow, you might just want to get a normal top coat, but this one you need to work with quite fast because it dries quickly. But it's perfect for my environment because obviously people want to try and use their hands as soon as possible. So this is what I use. Hoping that I've allowed enough time. So with the top coat, it's really important to have the brush really loaded up. If you don't have enough on there, you're going to just scrape all that beautiful colour off, and then you'll have streaks and you'll have to start again. So you want to get it nice and loaded up. So I just basically dab off the excess and then just go straight on there. So it's a big old blob, and you work with it quite quickly and very lightly, so you're not pressing too hard at all. All you're doing is spreading the colour out, and don't forget to seal off the tips. So there we go. So you've got a nice even shade of colour there, and I haven't actually had to do any correcting. So what you can do is just leave these till last, do all your fingers, and then once you've done them all and they're looking lovely and neat and tidy, then do your thumbnails and just correct as you go. If you work nice and slowly, hopefully you won't need to do too much correcting. And then the last thing I was going to show you is one of these. So I don't know if you can read it. It's the OPI Correct and Clean Up. Basically, I'm just going to get my one that I've been using. So I've used it so much that all of the writing on the outside has worn off. So it's simply got nail varnish remover in it, and it's just a bit like an orange stick inside. So you can just go round the corners like this and get rid of any nail varnish that you've got on the skin, around the cuticles, just tidy them up a bit. And because you've got the edges and the corners of this, it just works really, really well. You can even take this out, so you can change the nib. If you buy one new, it comes with a spare nib. You can pull this out as well, which shows like a little reservoir, and then you can very carefully top that back up with a nail varnish remover, any nail varnish remover brand. It doesn't have to be OPI. So you can use it again and again and again, basically until the nibs disintegrate. But you know, I use this pretty much on a daily basis, and this is the second nib, and I've had it for several years. So for you, I think it would last a long time. So that is an absolute godsend when trying to do your own nails. So if you want to get one of these, you can get them online. I've got a couple here as well that I'm happy to post to you or drop off to you if you're local. OPI Correct and Clean Up, and it's really, really helpful for just getting all those final little bits and just making your job look really ultra neat and professional. So I hope you found the video helpful. I don't think I left anything out, but if you want to know any more information, or if you've got any other questions about colours or anything that you can think of basically, please just pop a little comment below. And also, whilst you're at it, if you wouldn't mind liking and sharing this video, that would be fantastic. Then more people get to see it basically. I've also got a lot of OPI colours that I can sell you if there's a particular one that you want. I've got a pretty good range, and I also have a lot of miniature colours which are a quarter of the size, so they're brilliant for trying new colours if you don't want to commit to a full-size one, and they're also really good for taking travelling when we're eventually allowed to go abroad again. So Thank you very much for staying tuned, and if you have any other ideas for videos that you would like me to do, then give me a shout. Thank you. Bye.